Hello, and welcome to another episode of Kalo's Star, Classic Kalo. Been away for a little bit, been kind of busy at the old 8 to 5 job, so finally got some time to really talk about some things. But you know what, today I want to continue my series on how Hollywood dealt with diversity as it grew. There was a time in Hollywood where African Americans or any people of color were just subservient in any kind of capacity. But coming toward the 60s and further, there came a time when you could not deny some talent, all right? You have like Sidney Poitier who comes along like a force. I mean, what do you do with a guy like that? Here's Harry Belafonte. Here's Dorothy Dandridge. And then you have Lena Horne. So Hollywood had to figure out what to do with these stars. Let's just take it back a little bit. We'll go back to like Freddie Washington. Freddie Washington was a very light-skinned black lady, and she had a big part in Imitation of Life, but they did not know what to do with her because there was the Hays Code, which didn't allow her to play next to a white counterpart. She couldn't, because she was self-proclaimed black, so she was treated that way. You had Nina Mae McKinney, big, beautiful star. You had Teresa Harris. All these stars of the early 30s and 20s did not get a chance to do anything really justifiable in Hollywood that showed who they really were. So they opted to play maid roles. Some of them fought against it, some of them didn't. But Hollywood just didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do because this was still a system of racism that was in place all over our country. And then we had this code, this Hays Code, that decided that, hey, you can't have black and white people together, and in certain things you can't even suggest that kind of a role. But then along comes people like Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier was a huge force. He was not going to settle for anything other than. So you get movies like To Sir with Love, you get A Patch of Blue, you get Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I mean, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was a huge success. I remember going to the drive-in with my family to see that movie. It was a big deal. Black man with a white woman, And this time in that movie, they actually did kiss one time at the beginning of the film, when you see the cab driver driving them there, and his future wife to be is they're kissing in the back seat. That was a huge moment in Hollywood, and that was a big movie. So Hollywood didn't know what to do with that. So a lot of times when the studios wouldn't do the movie, they would go to independent movies. And that's where I come with this movie called One Potato, Two Potatoes. I found this movie, I was just on, I guess I was blogging or reading about somebody, and somebody in the comments talked about this movie, One Potato, Two Potatoes. Like, never heard of this movie. This movie here, it stars Barbara Barry. There is a very young Richard Milligan in there. Milligan, you remember him from the soap series, the comedy series. You have Bernie Hamilton. Bernie was kind of a independent version of a Sidney Poitier, and he was in a lot of movies. And this movie really pushed the knob because they got married. They actually got married in this movie, and it was located in Ohio at the time, and that's where the movie was taking place. The Midwest was a little bit more, not South. So, and they ended up having a child together. They had a child. She got pregnant and she had a child. And also, she had a child from a previous marriage, which was another white child. So that's what the story's all around, is the white child, her real natural father, and the court battle. I don't want to give away to the movie. But this movie is not on any streaming as of yet. It's called One Potato, Two Potato. Stars Barbara Barry and Bernie Hamilton. And I'm not showing a lot of clips because Facebook is really getting on me with some of the clips. So I will put links in a lot of at the end so you can look at the clips. But this movie just got released on DVD. It's not been in release for a long time because it's just been out of release because it's an independent film. And, a lot of those films had to, come up with their own monies to get their things out there. But I'll put it on pre-order for Amazon. It's out there on Amazon. It's a great movie. I don't want to give it any away, but there's some clips out there on YouTube which I will show you. So, that's one of the things that they did. So they had to go independent. So this thing was starting to happen in Hollywood where you had to deal with black people. You had to deal with other people that were of different colors. You had like Susie Wong, great Asian actress. They always put her in an Asian kind of role. Beautiful actress, but the one of my favorite movies is The World of Susie Wong. She plays a Asian hooker, and that's what Asians and things ended up being if they ever got to play anything. But she was in love with William Holden, and it's a very good story about how Americans were in Hong Kong and the British were there, and how they were becoming westernized, and it's a great story, and it's a very sad story too. The World of Susie Wong, starring I can't think of her name right now. The World of Susie Wong is the name. I just remember my actress's name. Her name was Nancy Kwan. Nancy Kwan was in The World of Susie Wong. Just want you to know that. Great Asian actress, Nancy Kwan. Okay, and also we had Lena. Let's talk about Lena Horne just for one moment. Now, what Hollywood did with Lena, what can you do with a beautiful lady like Lena who sings? Here she is, this gorgeous black woman. They're interested in her. Louis B. Mayer signs her to MGM. I mean, she has all of these vehicles that they thought about they were going to do, but they were kind of scared. So what they do, they would put Lena in all these movies. She'd always end up being some cabaret singer or something. She never was a maid. Lena would not doing that. She never was a maid. And so what happens was, whenever they got to the South, they could just cut her out. She's out of the movie. That's how they did Lena. But they wanted her. I mean, you know, and we know that there are a lot of talented African-American actors and actors. So Hollywood was trying to find its way. Another controversial movie that you might know about is Island in the Sun. That starred Dorothy Dandridge, Joan Fontaine, Charles Mason, and Harry Belafonte. Harry was another one. Here you have this handsome guy, Harry Belafonte. They don't know what to do with him, They want to put them in movies, but they really can't, They're not getting the roles that they deserve on a lot of things. But this movie was very scandalous because it showed two different couples. Here you have Harry Belafonte, who's in love with the Joan Fontaine. That's Olivia Havilland's sister. And they're black and white, but they never kiss. But there was always the idea that they were together. And then you had Dorothy Dandridge, who was like in love with this other guy that was in the city. It wasn't Charles Mason, I don't think. But it's like, here we have these characters, Dorothy, they really didn't know what to do with. She was such a beauty, She could have played a lot of roles, but they got afraid to play her. She was supposed to play the role of Tuptim in, if you ever seen The King and I. The King and I was a great movie with Yul Brynner. The Tuptim was the little slave girl that was a gift to the king. That was Dorothy Dandridge's role. I mean, her manager had arranged for her to get the role. However, she got hooked up with Otto Preminger, a white German director who was kind of like idolized her and just took over her career. And I think you've seen that. If you've seen the movie Dorothy Dandridge, Introducing Dorothy Dandridge with Halle Berry, that movie. He just took over her career, and he didn't want her to play that part. She wanted to get bigger parts. But Otto had no play in Hollywood. And people thought he was kind of a crazy director. So he really ruined Dorothy's career by not letting her take that role of Tuptim. Because in those days, if you were ethnic diverse, you had to play characters. You could not play just regular characters. You had to play other characters. Like, the role ended up going to Rita Moreno, which was a good role. So she played that part. She was always offered ethnic parts, So Hollywood had a hard time dealing with these up-and-coming black actors because they were so fabulous. They had to think of something to do, and they were also making money in the box office. So they either did an all-black version of a film of something. You had your Carmen Jones, which was a huge hit, Oscar-nominated version for Dorothy Dandridge for Best Actress. That was a first. So there you go. She was the first actress of color, black actress, to be nominated for Best Actress, and that was for Carmen Jones. Yeah, she had some tough competition that year. It was some very big roles that were going on. So, even if she did win, just the fact that she got nominated there was a great feat. Um, but I want to talk a little bit about colorism. If you notice, some of the actors that I always talked about, they were usually the ones that were a little bit lighter in hue. You know, we can talk about colorism a lot, even within our own African American community, because the lighter blacks were less threatening. If they were less threatening, if the less ethnic you were and the more European you looked, we could use you. But then you read about some of the stories of these lighter actresses, like Freddie Washington. The black community didn't accept her because she was so light, and the white community didn't want her because she identified as black. So they were left out there. Hollywood had a lot of work to do, but diversity in Hollywood has changed a lot recently. You know, I'm sitting there looking at movies that I'm thinking, this movie was probably written for an all-white cast, but I was like, it's working with black people. It really is working with an all-black cast, you know. So it's very exciting to see this metamorphosis come forward in movies and the genre, and how we've come a long way of looking at how people of color were viewed in movies. Even though there's not a lot of them in the movies, but they always had a presence. America knows that there's a value in our people of color some way. And this system of racism that was around Hollywood was no different than anywhere else. You were second-class citizens. You pretty much were. A lot of the black actors, whenever there was an all-black movie, they weren't allowed to be around some of the white technicians and things that worked in the canteen area. So they had to form the Negro Actors Guild. It was kind of the same thing as the Screen Actors Guild for black people, because they weren't being able to sit in the canteens and eat like normal actors and things of that nature. They'd bring them on set just for certain scenes in these big movies where they were black and white, and they just weren't treated right. Some of the notable white directors would fight for things like that to happen, and to make sure that things were done that way. And then some came in with this with actual things like, if you're not going to let my black actors be in the same room with us, then we're not going to do the movie. Some of the actors were quite like that. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. Facebook has been really getting on me about my clips. Some of the clips that I've been putting, I did a little challenge to them to see if I could play the clips. I like showing clips when I talk about movies. It brings you there, so I'll start putting links. But I am going to put clips at the end of the video. For you that go over to YouTube, you may be able to see the clips of some of these movies. But I want you to see a clip of One Potato, Two Potato. If you're on Facebook, look at the link that I have down there. I'm not going to show the clip. But if you're on YouTube watching me, okay, we have a clip here of this movie, One Potato, Two Potato. It is part of my series on diversity in Hollywood, how Hollywood dealt with people of color. Thank you so much for joining the Classic Kalo channel today. I want to start doing more content with you guys, so like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and enjoy the movies. Bye now.